Okay, we're live. Jaguars lose another tough one. The defense only gave up 12 points to the Vikings. However, the Jags offense still up 7 points. Trevor out with the injury, the left shoulder injury. Mac Jones playing. What is wrong with the offense? What is wrong with the offense? And should the Jaguars brass fire somebody? The Jacksonville Jaguars are 2-8. 2-8. Your comments are welcome. You're listening to the Teal Shirt Report podcast. It's good to have you listening and watching with us. We'll take a look at NFL scores. This, my friends, we're going to keep it at episode show number 61C. Okay? Episode show number 61C. We're live. We're only a minute in. We'll take a look at the NFL scores. Florida Gators disappointing loss to Texas, as you know. Texas Longhorns on Saturday, 49, Florida 17. Billy Napier, though, he's okay for another year. He's coming back in 2025. There's reasons for that. He did prepare the team very, very well for a stretch of about 4 games in a row. I thought Coach Billy Napier prepared the Gators well in the Central Florida win. The Tennessee loss in overtime. Florida was tit for tat with Georgia until really Lagway got hurt late in the second quarter, and they still were battling. And I think the score was 20-20 late in the third quarter or early in the fourth quarter. So I feel like Coach Billy Napier prepared the team well for the Georgia game, the Central Florida game, the Tennessee loss in overtime. And, of course, it was a victory with Kentucky, a nice 48-20 victory over Kentucky sandwiched in there as well. Florida beat Mississippi State on the road, but the Gators are 4-5. It's a disappointing season. However, if Lagway can come back off the hamstring injury soon, they could make some hay in the last couple of games. LSU is not that strong, but they played well at times. LSU got beat by Alabama. Alabama beat LSU very convincingly. We got the scores on the website at bigjreport.com. We'll go down some of the scores. I know that Georgia Tech upset Miami. Georgia Tech 28, Miami 23 was Miami's first loss of the season. Miami is 9-1. Georgia Tech is 6-4. Ole Miss kind of throttled or hammered Georgia. They really did. What was the score in that one? 28-10. Ole Miss wins. We picked Georgia to cover the 2.5 points. That was not good. And how about Notre Dame with a 52-3 victory over Florida State? You're watching and listening to the Teal Shirt Report podcast. The main question is, can the Jags scratch out a win? They were like a 4.5-point underdog. Minnesota was a 4.5-point favorite. They covered the 4.5 points with a 12-7 win. It's like a Pop Warner score almost. So what do you do? The problem on offense? I don't think the problem was really with the defense. Today's game on Sunday, November the 10th. We'll take a look at some of the scores. Some of these scores I'm seeing for the first time as we do this live stream on the Teal Shirt Report podcast. We are brought to you by Saucer Realty and Capital for your real estate needs in North Florida, whether it's home, residential, business, or commercial real estate. Chiefs stay undefeated after last field goal block to turn back the Broncos. Sean Payton's done a good job with the Broncos, but, man, they were playing the almighty Kansas City Chiefs. Did I pick Denver with the points? I did. Kansas City's an 8.5-point favorite. I picked Denver to get underneath the 8.5. And that's according to the football pool I did. And they did. Baby, how about that? Kansas City 16, Denver 14. KC wins by 2 points. But, my goodness, the Chiefs were favored by 8.5 points. The Chiefs only won by 2, and yours truly picked Denver and Sean Payton to get underneath the 8.5 points the Chiefs were favored by, and we liked that. We called Minnesota to cover the spread, and that's kind of against our heart, and we're thinking more with our head, right? So we'll take a look at some other scores. Buffalo beat Indianapolis Colts. The Colts are having their difficulties. Buffalo's having a great year. Buffalo is going to win their division, I think, at this point, without a doubt. I think Buffalo's like a deep playoff run with their, obviously with their quarterback Josh Allen. They're Josh Allen. The Jaguars have their defensive end / linebacker Josh Hines Allen. But Buffalo wins 30-12. Minnesota Vikings beat the Jacksonville Jaguars 12-7. What do the Jaguars just need to come out and fire somebody? I think it all begins with the GM Trent Baalke. Turn up the heat. Turn up the heat. My goodness, turn it up. Brother Baalke and the Jags are 2-8. There is a coach involved, and Coach Doug Peterson, he's part of it. Who put the team together? If I'm Shad Khan and his son in the Jaguars brass, there's one guy you got to fire, and that is absolutely the current GM, Trent Baalke. 2-8 this year. Last year, they went 1-5 the last 6 games. Trevor's had some injuries. But, hey, Baalke gave Trevor Lawrence a very early big piece of the pie, right? The pizza pie. And I'm not saying Trevor shouldn't have got a huge contract. Maybe they could have waited a little bit longer than they did. I think they might have been a little bit too early on it. It's a big, huge contract, Trevor. What's he going to get? I told somebody the other day, man, he's got a $200,000. No, it's a $200 million contract, right? Trevor's going to be a Jaguar, not just this year, but for another 6 years after this year, unless he's traded. Did the New England Patriots beat the Chicago Bears? Pretty sure I picked Chicago. I did pick Chicago. Chicago was a 6.5-point favorite. New England beat them 19-3. Man, I should have grabbed the New England defense in the fantasy league. How about those apples? Carolina, worst team in the NFL. They win again. I think Carolina's got a 2-game winning streak now. They beat the Saints last week by 1 point. They beat the Giants. I think that game was that the game in Munich, Germany? Carolina Panthers 20. New York Giants 17. Baltimore in the Thursday night game, Baltimore 35. Cincinnati Bengals 34. We were on the winning side of that one. Baltimore was a 6.5-point favorite, and we picked Cincinnati, and Baltimore won by 1 point. If you're with us, subscribe to the channel. If you're in here watching, whether you're in here on our live stream or after the live stream goes off, you're still able to watch and listen and partake. Subscribe to the channel. Give us a thumbs up. You see the thumbs up right there, right by the coffee mug? Give us a thumbs up. I got a bird's eye view of what's going on from world headquarters. I'll tell you that. We're about 8 minutes in, brought to you by the Teal Shirt Report podcast, episode show. What do we call this one? 61. This is actually 61C, right? 61C. Tennessee beat Mississippi State. Florida got blasted by Texas and Austin. Texas now a part of the Southeastern Conference, their first year in the SEC, along with Oklahoma. Oklahoma had a wild game with Missouri, which Missouri ended up winning that game, actually. So Baalke needs to be fired. The Jags are 2-8. That is your report card. I mean, I think Shad Khan made some comments. Didn't Shad Khan make some comments that this was probably one of the best teams the Jaguars had assembled, and now they're 2-8? Now, Shad Khan doesn't need to hire a coach. He does not need to fire a coach. There's only one man he really has to fire. And that's GM Trent Baalke. Fire Baalke, and then the new GM, preferably a guy, a top 10 GM in the NFL that's currently a GM because Shad Khan's got the money. Shad Khan can, everybody's under contract, but if there's a guy that you can somehow say, hey, money is no object, going to give him a big contract, LA Rams GM Les Snead to be the first guy on my list, probably. First guy. You're tuned into the Teal Shirt Report podcast, brought to you by Saucer Realty and Capital. Also by none other than Lake Uvalde Hits. JC does a great show on Thursday nights. Thursday nights live from the pub with JC. Thursday night, 6 o'clock Central Time, 7 o'clock Eastern Time. With JC, your friend and mine. And the MadMaxMix.weebly.com. Max has got me penciled in, I think, for the 8 o'clock hour in his next show. 8 o'clock Eastern Time, which is in the 7 o'clock hour Central Time. Kind of the last hour of the show, which there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes they save the good stuff for the end, right? We love talking about music. We love talking about music and sports on Max's show, the MadMaxMix.weebly.com. When will the Jaguars brass? That would include the owner and, probably Tony Khan and I don't know how extensive Mark Lamping gets involved, Shad's right-hand man, but you got to make a move. Got to hire a new GM at this point. The new GM will decide, hey, I want to keep Doug Peterson, but he probably won't. He's going to bring in his own guy. He's going to bring a guy with him or a guy he wants to hire because he is on the line. Now I can have a podcast and a broadcast where I tell you exactly what happened, how Baalke got the job to begin with, and we can run down more NFL scores. But you see the question: when will the Jags brass fire someone? And should the Jaguars fire Baalke? What do you think? Let me know in the comments. The Jags are abysmal. 2-8 now. How do you like those apples? Those are some sour apples. 2-8. 2-8 at this point in the year. Now I picked the Jags to go 10-7. They can't even do that now. They're just 10 games in. They can't even go 10-7. Do you remember the countless people when I picked the Jags to go 10-7? Oh, they're going to win more than that, Scott. They're going to win 11, 12, 13 games. We had people picking them to win 11, 12 to 13 games. That is not happening. Jaguars lose to Minnesota. Minnesota Vikings 12, Jacksonville Jaguars 7. NFL scoreboard. New England kind of surprised me. New England doesn't have a lot of offense, but their defense played well. They rolled the Bears 19-3. New England Patties 19, Chicago the Bears 3. New England Patriots 19, Chicago Bears 3. Carolina's got a 2-game winning streak. Carolina, the worst team in the league, has won as many as the Jaguars now. Baltimore on Thursday night, 35. Cincinnati, 34. Buffalo Bill, our executive producer's favorite team since he was a little boy, since his dear mother gave him a Buffalo Bills jacket when he was probably knee-high to a grasshopper. He was 5, 6, 7, 8 years old. He got that Buffalo Bills jacket, and he was a fan of the Bills for life. And Buffalo mowed down the Indianapolis Colts. Buffalo Bills 30, Indianapolis Colts 20. Again, the Minnesota Vikings 12, Jacksonville Jaguars 7. Kansas City hung on and remained undefeated. Kansas City 16, the Denver Broncos 14. What about the Saints? When the Saints go marching in, hey, they beat Atlanta. Who did I pick in that one? My goodness, I picked the Falcons, and I was dead wrong. Falcons, a 3.5-point favorite. Saints beat them. Man, I got rid of the Saints defense, too, and their defense is playing better. But, New York Joe, who's a Saints fan, told me, he said, isn't that amazing? New York Joe is a Saints fan. But I think he resides in New Orleans now, New Orleans. Yeah, the Saints pulled a surprise, but that's a kind of, for an NFL For NFL, that's a rival. New Orleans Saints 20, Atlanta Falcons 17. The fans have turned it into a rivalry for many years. KC Chiefs 16, Denver Broncos 14. Minnesota Vikings 12, Jaguars 7. We are going to get to the stats eventually and take a look at it. Mac Jones played quarterback, not a whole lot of offense. What were the problems? Give me your comments. Why did the Jaguars only score 7 points in this game at home? I know it's sprinkled. There were light showers, light sprinkles out there. The field might have been a little wet. The offensive line is not good. I'm not going to say they're bad, but they're not good. They've had injuries to the O-line. They've had injuries to receivers. I saw a guy on social media saying, man, they're not even targeting Brian Thomas Jr. Let me know that in the comments. What's wrong with this team? 2-8, man, that's ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous. The Jacksonville Jaguars are 2-8. My goodness, the Carolina Panthers have won 2 games now. They're on a 2-game winning streak. Beat the Saints. Now they beat the Giants by 3 over in Munich, Germany. So we got you some NFL scores. I might have to cut this thing off early because my blood is boiling. San Francisco 49ers beat the Bucks 23-20. Where did I go on the line with that? I picked Tampa Bay. Hey, how about that? How about those apples? San Francisco is a 5.5-point favorite. I picked the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 49ers win by 3, and I win it with the Buccaneers by the spread. Go Bucks. Bucks lost 23-20. Talking about the spread. Pittsburgh Steelers, a 28-27 winner over a really coming team. The Washington Football Redskin Commanders. It was the Pittsburgh Steelers. Let me see what the score was here. Let me clean the screen here. Pittsburgh Steelers 28, Washington Football Redskins 27. Actually known as the Washington Commanders now. Ed White's in the high school football playoffs, and they are the original. Ed White is the original Commanders. Pittsburgh Steelers, we're having fun on this show. Pittsburgh Steelers 28, Washington 27. You got to have fun, raise a little havoc. When the Jaguars are 2-8, I'm not putting a bag over my head. I'm not going to do that. We might have to go back to some mask again, with it getting to be wintertime. Wintertime, man, it's still been warm, right? We've got some rain, anywhere from a 30 to 50% chance of rain here in North Florida. Pittsburgh Steelers 28, Washington Redskins 27. There, I called them the Redskins. They're really the Washington Football Team Commanders, something like that. Okay, so we are absolutely live on the stream. Come on in. The water's warm. If you want to blast the Jaguars, Baalke, or whatever you want to do, put it in the comments. Absolutely put it in the comments. We're brought to you by Saucer Realty and Capital, Lakey Ball Hits, and the MadMaxMix.weebly.com. Some pretty good college football games. I just didn't understand the Ole Miss Georgia game. Was Georgia not prepared? I talked to Mad Max, our Georgia Bulldog football insider. Max kind of blames a little bit of it on Georgia Bulldog coaching, perhaps, and Carson Beck not playing well. His NFL draft stock may be going zoom down the elevator shaft. What's he going to be, a 3rd, 4th, 5th round pick? Somebody will take a chance and grab him in the first round like the Colts grabbed Anthony Richardson. My God, he tapped out. My goodness. The Teal Shirt Report podcast, episode show number 61C. Checking the NFL scoreboard. Jaguars get blasted. Well, they get beat 12-7. It's like being blasted when you only scored 7 points. NFL scoreboard. Do we have more scores? Yeah, we were talking about Pittsburgh winning 28-27. Washington. The Commanders were a 3-point favorite. And who did I pick? In the pool, the Pittsburgh Steelers. How about that? I want to get a few more scores. There's some other games, too. Let's see. New Orleans, again, the Saints go marching in. New Orleans Saints 20. Atlanta Falcons 17. New York Joes Saints win. We've had him on the podcast in the past as a guest. We're going to have some guests coming up soon. Now, if you really want me to get excited, let's talk about my Survivor pick this week. And I'm running about a 6-game streak right now in Survivor. Who did I pick for Survivor this week? Jim Harbaugh and those LA Chargers. Chargers beat the Titans 27-17. My goodness. How about those apples? Jim Harbaugh. What's that like, the Chargers' 6th win of the year? That's the guy I wanted to coach the Jaguars. He was my number one choice when the Jags hired Urban. You know, Urban isn't looking as bad now, is he? Urban picked some of made some of the good picks in 2021. Doug Peterson had a good year. The next year, a playoff run a little bit with the Jags. Chiefs got the Jags in the playoffs. Got the Jags in the playoffs. You know, back a couple of years back, Jags did not make the playoffs. 2023, and it's looking very conceivable like there'll be no playoffs here in 2024. Jags are 2-8. How many times has a 2-8 team started 2-8 the first 10 games and made the playoffs? Never. Is there somebody that's run the table at 2-8? Let me know. LA Chargers and Jim Harbaugh 27, Tennessee Titans 17. Love it. I picked the Chargers. Chargers favored by 7.5. They, not only do they win the game as my Survivor pick, but they cover the spread. LA Chargers were a 7.5-point favorite. They win. The LA Chargers, a 7.5-point favorite in the football pool. They win by 10. LA Chargers 27. Tennessee Titans 17. Jim Harbaugh. I bet Michigan misses him. 3 straight Big Ten titles, 3 straight wins over Ohio State, a national championship in the 2023 season. And he leaves I thought he'd retire at Michigan. Thought maybe he was done with the NFL. Although I think he's a better, I won't say much better. I'll say I think he's a better NFL coach than a college coach. And now the LA Chargers are experiencing that. The LA Chargers have got like 6 wins. How about the old Arizona Cardinals? My goodness, they're much better than they were last year. So you got the Jets and the New York Jets. They don't have much offense, but their defense usually held pretty strong, and now that's fallen in quicksand. Defense is kind of falling off in quicksand. So you got the Jets. You got the New York Jets playing at the Arizona Cardinals. It's a 1.5-point favorite in this one. So what do? I pick the Cardinals. The Cardinals win this game. They rout the Jets. Arizona Cardinals. Here's a football pool right here. Right here. We play for nickels and dimes. But, man, the pool's looking good this week. I mean, I've missed a couple here and there, but my goodness, the Arizona Cardinals came through for me. Can you believe the Jets were actually favored in this game in Arizona? It's like taking candy from a baby. My goodness. Arizona wins the game. Arizona Cardinals 31, New York Jets 6. I know I'm really into this podcast today. And I'm really upset. I'm excited to do the podcast to bring you guys some stuff, but I've been with the Jets. Let me tell you what, I can pout, I can cry, I can get upset, but I just want to give you the correct information. You take a look at Baalke the last couple of years at San Francisco, it's looking very similar to his last couple of years here in Jacksonville. And I say the last couple of years. Don't tell me they're going to bring Baalke back. Is he going to blame it all on Coach Peterson? I saw a picture of Coach Peterson after today's game. Man, he looked like he was stunned. 2-8. That's the grim reality. That's the grim reaper of it all. The Jaguars are 2-8, ladies and gentlemen. Now, how about the Eagles and the Cowboys? Let's get down to something here. Cowboys and the Eagles. This game was actually played in Dallas, and I picked Dallas. Philadelphia was a 7-point favorite. I was wrong on this one. Philadelphia destroyed Dallas. Philadelphia Eagles 34, Dallas Cowboys 6. I think Dak is out, perhaps for the rest of the year now with an injury, is what I'm hearing. And I think that's all the scores to the moment, right? I think that's all the scores to the moment. Again, the big one, Minnesota Vikings 12, Jacksonville Jaguars 7. College football, there were some good ones. There were some slap dang good ones in college football. Florida Gators got blasted 49-17. Okay, I've got some messages coming in. And with this, man, I tell you, I've covered this franchise. I've been a fan of this Jaguars franchise since before they even started playing games. When they got the franchise awarded in 1993, you talk about the games the fans have been through, agonizing, gut wrenching. Now you got this guy Baalke running the team, and they're 2-8. And this is supposed to be one of the best Jaguars teams in of all time as far as Shad Khan was concerned going into this season. My gosh, they're 2-8. And he doesn't want to hear any excuses. There should be no excuses. The team, they are what they are. The Jacksonville Jaguars, sadly, we report, are 2-8. So no offense in today's game. You can't blame this game on the defense. Minnesota held to 12 points. Trevor Lawrence not playing. Mac Jones played. The offensive line, I'm not saying they're very bad, I'm not even saying they're bad, but they're not good. Wide receivers injured, play calling deficiencies. Call it what you want. Let me know in the comments. Give us a thumbs up if you like what we're doing, what we're trying to get out of this, as far as give us a thumbs up. If you like the podcast, I'm a little emotional. I'm about ready to come unglued over this. 2-8. I think I actually go 10-7. The players, not all of them, but a good many of them, and some of them are probably gone off the roster now. They've been traded in kind of a semi-fire sale. Cam Robinson's been traded for a draft pick or two. Roy Robertson Harris was shipped about 3 weeks ago to Seattle, the defensive lineman. Whatever helps with the salary cap, obviously. And some of these players aren't earning. They're not even, to begin with, they're not really earning their salary. I hate to say that. Jags are 2-8. We'll take a look. I'll be in a better mood if I can take a look at some college football here. When will the Jags brass fire someone? The fan base wants a head on the platter. Not literally, but they want the Jag, and it's a simple fix. You fire the GM, you bring in a good GM who has been a GM, a top 10 GM. Now I'm talking about a guy who's actually a GM at this moment. Not some guy that's having drank somewhere. I think I could run the team, and you know who I'm referring to, the old guy. There's rumors going around that, that some of the brass are friendly with this one or that one. And it needs to be a guy who's running a team now successfully. And he needs to be given a contract because he's been successful. He knows how to run a team. Les Snead, I don't even know what Les Snead's contract situation is with the Rams. Or a guy like him. One of the top 10 GMs, hire the guy, straighten this mess out. 2-8 is not good. The team was absolutely abysmal the last 6 games. They were 1-5 the last 6 games. It was a collapse. It was a colossal collapse at the end of 2023 for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And now this season is shot. The Jags are 2-8. 2-8. 2-8. I'll repeat it, 2-8. When you're 2-8, man, did Coughlin ever go 2? If he did, it might have been 1 year. I mean, Tom Coughlin is going to be in the Hall of Fame. He's in the pride of the Jaguars. The Jacksonville Jaguars have been to the AFC Championship game not once, not twice, but 3 times. See my fingers there? 3 fingers, if you can see them. 3 fingers. The Jags have been to 3 AFC title games or championship games, if you will. Every time they've been to one of these games, Tom Coughlin was involved with the team, whether he was the coach and the GM, or as he was the last time before he was fired because he wanted to find some players against whatever rules the NFL had set up. And you got to go by their rules or you get in trouble, right? You know, asked Bosa, asked Bosa, the defensive lineman. He got in a little trouble the other day, wearing a hat. My goodness. So you're 2-8. The problem is at the top. And Shad Khan's not going to be fired. He owns a team. I don't think he's going to sell the team, not as of yet. So, Shad, you don't need to hire a coach. You don't need to fire a coach. You need to hire a new GM that's doing it successfully at one of the top 10 teams, or he's one of the top 10 GMs that he can turn this thing around fairly rapidly. You know, Trevor Lawrence is going to be the Jags quarterback unless he's traded. He's under a massive contract thanks to Trent Baalke. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but it was early. Baalke was early on this. I mean, Baalke signed a lot of people. I'm not saying he can't get out of the deals, and maybe Baalke is smart with his salary cap. Maybe he's not. But you look back at the last couple of years of the 49ers, and now the last year and a half, or the last, this season and half of last season, man, is abysmal. Jaguars have won 3 games in the last, they've lost 8 games this year. They lost 5. They're like, what are they, like 3-13 in their last 16 games or something like that? I got to get the pen and do some math again. Simple math. They got 3 wins since the midpoint of last year. 3. Right? And they beat the worst team in the league, Carolina, last year, 26-0. And C.J. Beathard was playing quarterback in that game. My goodness. Let's go to college football. I don't know if I can fathom all this. I'm probably on the next podcast. I'm gonna take a look at the stats. I haven't really peeled the stats back and taken a look at the stats. This is how I feel about 2-8. That's what we're talking about. How does the host, Scott, feel with the Teal Shirt Report podcast? Am I supposed to be out here and just happy and gay? Hey, am I supposed to be just happy? And no, I don't swing that way. Get that out of your head. Get that thought. 2-8. 2-8 they are. 2-8. Chew on that. Should I say it again? 2-8. Let's take a look at college football. There were some interesting games that took place on gridirons and football on Saturday, November the 9th. I'll pull up bigjreport.com, go to our sports section. We got the scores up. You can check them out. We do check high school football scores. Man, the high school football playoffs are going to really get cranked up on Friday coming up. What would that be? That'd be like Friday, November 15th, I believe. Let me take the calendar says it's Friday, November the 15th. There's going to be a lot of high school football playoff games in North Florida, South Georgia, Western Georgia, that pocket of Southeast Alabama. And we have high school football scores up on the homepage at bigjreport.com. Jacksonville Icemen won on Saturday. They play again this Thursday. Home game this Thursday. Let's take a look at college football. Let's pull up some games. We don't have all the scores for college football up, but we do have a good many of them, a lot of the important ones. College football, the SEC, In college football, Texas 49, the Florida Gators 17. Gator defense starting to find its way early in that game, and they had a couple of good series against Texas, and then the floodgates just opened up, and the Texas Longhorns scored 49 points. You'd think Earl Campbell was in the backfield again for the Longhorns like he was back in the 1970s. So scores, Florida loses, Texas 49, Florida Gators 17. Billy Napier will stay at Florida. There's not going to be any changes. Billy Napier will be the coach moving ahead and going into next year, 2025. I think Billy's still going to be the seat's still going to be hot, but he's going to be around. Other SEC action: Ole Miss 28, Georgia 10, Alabama. As the late Keith Jackson would say, "Whoa, Nelly!" Alabama with a huge win. Alabama 42, LSU 13. Alabama back in the playoff hunt. Now it's 7-2. LSU falls to 6-3. Alabama 42, LSU 13, a final in the rain at LSU. That's a tough place to win at. And Alabama not only won the game, but destroyed Coach Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly, you look at him the last minute of the game. The last minute of the game, he's yelling at the referee. Coach Brian Kelly with LSU. He's not a happy camper right now. And who would be? Losing a game like that you need if you want to get back into contention for a possible playoff spot. They're going to have 12. Yeah, they're going to have 12 spots in the college football playoffs this year. I don't mean to laugh at that, but things have changed. NIL, immediate transfer portal, major, not conference realignment, major conference realignment where you got Stanford in California now in the ACC. It's crazy. Okay, so again, Alabama 42, LSU 13, a final playing in the rain at LSU on Saturday night, November the 9th. Other scores on Saturday, November the 9th. Tennessee, they're definitely a playoff contender, perhaps for a playoff spot. Tennessee 33, Mississippi State 14. Over in the Big Ten, Ohio State 45, Purdue nothing. Indiana still undefeated. Indiana with a 20-15 win over Michigan. Indiana 20, Michigan 15. ACC, Georgia Tech pulls the rug from out under the U. Georgia Tech now 6-4. Georgia Tech 28. The Miami of Florida Hurricanes 23, the final score. Notre Dame, Florida State is now 1-9. You think you got problems? University of Florida at 4-5. FSU is 1-9. 1-9. Notre Dame, they covered the spread and more. Notre Dame 52, FSU Seminoles 3. Woo, thank goodness I picked Notre Dame in that one to cover that 26.5 points they were favored by. It's amazing. It's crazy. What would Coach Bobby Bowden think about this season? My goodness. The late Coach Bobby Bowden, what a great man. I think Coach Mike Norvell is a good coach. Had a great season last year, but man, this year the wheels have fallen off the wagon for the Seminoles. But right now, to me, it looks like Norvell's going to be back and Napier's going to be back in 2025. You want to talk about some seats being hot, like the seats are being moved to the fireplace. They're going to be that hot for Napier and Norvell in 2025. Unreal. So Georgia Tech beats the Miami, Florida Hurricanes. Georgia Tech 28, Miami 23. A final Notre Dame 52, the FSU Seminoles 3. Other games of interest, Army still undefeated. They're mid-major. Can they make a playoff spot? Let me know. Make some noise in the comments. And remember to like our podcast. Give us a like, a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. And in the comments, please, by all means, tell me who the Jaguars should fire and when. And did 2-8 shock you, honestly, here in 2024 for your Jacksonville Jaguars? Minnesota Vikings 12, Jacksonville Jaguars 7, a final score on Sunday, November the 10th. Whoa, so we're running down more college football. see what we got here. Let's go down some more scores from Saturday, November the 9th. Again, Notre Dame 52, FSU Seminoles 3 a final. Other games, Army remains undefeated. Army 14, North Texas 3 a final. The Army Cadets are now 9-0. They got the big Army-Navy game coming up in just a few days. Come from behind win for undefeated BYU. They're a definite playoff contender. Brigham Young, BYU 22. Utah 21 the final. BYU had to come from behind, and that's absolutely a Big 12 game that was played on November the 9th of 2024. And that's a look at not all, but some of the college football games for Saturday, November the 9th. We ran down, most of the NFL scores as well. Check us out. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Give us a thumbs up. Give us a like. And I know I got a little crazy on this podcast because somebody's got to say something. Jaguars 2-8. The fan base is not happy. I'm sure Shad Khan's not happy either. He's probably figuring out, what are we going to do now? What are we going to do now? Right? Heard a TV anchor a week or two ago after the Jags lost another agonizing game, a week or two back. They said, well, what happened this time? They're losing, it seems like the same way almost every time. It's agonizing, it's aggravating, it's excruciating to the fans. I picked the Jags to go 10-7. They're sitting at 2-8 now. 2-8. Chew on that. I'm not happy. The Jags fan base is not happy. Baalke, you got to fire the guy. You got to hire a new GM. The new GM, hey, he can keep Doug Peterson if you give him complete control and a money is no object contract, Shad Khan. You don't fire Shad Khan. You're not the one firing the coaches or hiring the coaches. Your new GM is. That's probably one of the top 10 GMs in the league. That's how you do it. I mean, I wish we had got Jim Harbaugh back about the time the Jags hired Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer's not looking so bad now, is he? He picked a lot of good players in 2021 because I think he made most of those draft picks. Baalke? Well, Baalke was kind of kept around. He was an assistant of Dave Codwell's, and then he became the interim GM. Then I think out there on the yacht, my guess on the yacht is Shad said, well, Urban, because he was, I'm telling you, Shad Khan was enamored with Urban Meyer. Shad Khan said, well, Urban, who would you be comfortable with as the GM? And Urban probably said, well, he had a relationship with Trent Baalke. They kind of, Trent Baalke had drafted Alex Smith. I believe he's the one that drafted Alex Smith back with the 49ers. And Alex Smith had played for Urban Meyer at Utah, right? So there was a semi-relationship there with Baalke and Urban. So Urban's probably said, yeah, I'm okay with Trent. And that's how it happened. That's how I believe it happened on the yacht. Shad Khan says, who are you comfortable with, Urban, to be the GM? And the decision was made. Urban was okay with Trent. And Baalke, Shad Khan seems like he likes Baalke and likes him a lot because he's keeping him around right up to this point. I don't think Shad Khan should fire coaches or hire coaches. I think he needs to hire a top-notch GM that's top 10 in the NFL, a guy that's preferably currently a GM in the NFL, if that's possible. To hire a guy that's crafting his career and now he wants to make the move to ultimately take the Jacksonville Jaguars to a first-time ever Super Bowl. But when you're 2-8, you're about as far from the Super Bowl as Jacksonville to the planet Pluto. My name's Scott. This has been the Teal Shirt Report podcast. I'm gonna cut out of here. 2-8's ridiculous. Fire Baalke. I want to thank my producer, executive producer, JC. Also, Alex Nunnery. Last I heard, Bold City Rattlers in the ABA are 3-0. Alex is doing some fine reporting work on the prep school as well. Get me some info, Alex, because, man, we're covering sports. BigJReport.com. This is the Teal Shirt Report on the BigJReport.com. Check out our website. Thanks to our sponsors, Saucer Realty and Capital, the MadMaxMix.weebly.com, and Lakeview Fall the Hits, the home of JC's live from the pub show on Thursday night, 6 o'clock Central Time. He gets cranked up 7 o'clock Eastern. And Mad Max is going to interview me, I think, in the 8 o'clock hour, right about 8:20, right, Max? That's kind of what we talked about, about 8:20 or so. On Wednesday night, the MadMaxMix.weebly.com. So our sponsors are Saucer Realty and Capital. You'll find links for Saucer Realty and Capital on our homepage at BigJReport.com. Want to thank the MadMaxMix.weebly.com and Lakeview Fall the Hits. JC, we love it. Thursday nights, live from the pub, JC playing your request. And, man, there's links for all these shows at BigJReport.com. In the Neighbors 2 section, the Outside the Box section for the Mad Max Mix, and Saucer Realty and Capital. On the homepage near the weather report, you'll find a link where you can check out Saucer Realty and Capital, whether you're buying a home, selling a home, checking out the real estate market. Remember, Saucer Realty and Capital for your North Florida real estate needs in North Florida and surrounding areas. We did check most of the college football scores. When we come back, this has been a wild one here. Giving you our opinion. Wayne happy. The fan base is going to be meaner than me. The fan base, they're mad. They're going to go to a window. They're going to go to, and they're not going to go to the window and, pour out their refreshment. No, they're going to go to the window. They're going to open it up, and they're going to do like that old movie. I'm as mad. You know what they're going to say. They're as mad as hell. And they're not going to take it anymore. They're as mad as heck, and they're not going to take it anymore. 2-8 is ridiculous. The Jacksonville, Florida fans and North Florida fans of the Jacksonville Jaguars deserve better than a 2-8 team. I'm Scott. This has been the Teal Shirt Report podcast. Special thanks to our producer, our executive producer, JC. Our executive producer, JC. Another producer, Alex Nunnery, who's been covering the Bold City Rattlers of the ABA. He's covering the prep school, too, that's going to the playoffs. And want to thank Alex Nunnery, JC, our executive producer, and John Gaylor. John Gaylor, contributor and correspondent of the Teal Shirt Report podcast. We gave you the NFL scores to the moment on this Sunday, November the 10th. Gave you most of the NFL scores and most of the very important college football scores as well. Man, Ohio State killed Purdue, right? 45-0. Florida Gators on the wrong end of the 49-17 trouncing of the Texas Longhorns. In fairness to Coach Billy Napier, Florida didn't have their top two quarterbacks even available to play. They're playing a third-string guy, a guy that transferred in from Yale, from the Ivy League. That's going to do it. I'm done with this one. The Teal Shirt Report podcast. We'll be back again soon. Subscribe to the channel. You're hearing me now. Subscribe to the channel. Give us a thumbs up if you would and will. And put your comments. Put your comments in the comment area. Should the Jaguars fire somebody? And should it be Baalke? Should it be now, soon, or when? And are you mad about 2-8? Let us know. This has been the Teal Shirt Report podcast. I'm your host, Scott. Have a great day, okay? We'll be back again soon with more content. Subscribe, and you'll always be made aware of when we come on and do one of these fabulous live streams. When the live stream is over, it's still out there for you to watch and view and comment on, and subscribe to the channel and give us, of course, an all-important thumbs up. Thank you. I'm Scott, your host. Woo! It's going to do it for the Teal Shirt Report podcast. This has been episode show number, I can breathe again. It's going to be episode show number 61C. In the can now. It's been a live stream. You guys have a great day. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Go Jags! Duval! I can barely say that. And let me tell you, Duval's not going to stand for 2-8. Come on, fan base. Give me some comments on this in the comment area of the Teal Shirt Report podcast. Have a great day. Got to turn this thing around. Remember to read the scroll and the ticker. Should the Jaguars fire Baalke? The Jags are now 2-8. Come on. When will the Jags brass fire someone? Let me hear your comments. Are you mad about 2-8? Let us know in the comments, okay? I'm Scott, your host for the Teal Shirt Report podcast. Have a great day. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Good night. Or good morning, depending on when you're listening. Have a great